If you're new to property and you don't know where to start, or you've just made a start but you're not making progress, watch this video. It's for beginners, and I'm going to share with you the 101 things that you need to know in order to become a successful property investor. Investing in property can be a great way to build a new or additional stream of income, and it also helps you create a legacy for your children, for your loved ones, and of course for your future as well. And that's incredibly important because legacy and financial freedom are two of the main reasons why most people are in property. Now, property is largely considered to be one of the safest investments you can make, as long as obviously you buy at the right price at the right time, but things can go wrong, and no matter what you invest in, obviously there's a certain amount of risk, and it's important that you carefully consider your options, because if you get it right, the upside is fantastic. If you get it wrong, the downside can be crippling. And before you start looking at properties, you need to work out what type of property investor that you want to be, and think about your strategy, think about how much income you want to create, think about why you're in property, and think about scale, size, and the time that you want to spend. Now, knowing your objective and knowing how to achieve them is incredibly important, and this is why you must really spend a lot of time setting out your goals and working out exactly what you want your business to look like at some point in the future. So do you want to be hands-on? Do you want to be hands-off? Do you want to do commercial conversions, service accommodation, single lets, HMOs, developments? The options are numerous, and I've got other videos, by the way, where I've covered quite a few different property strategies for you. If you haven't seen that video or the compilation, click here to watch that now. Now, think about whether you want to build a property portfolio that could replace your current income. That's a big one for most people who are in employment and are looking to leave work so that they can replace their job with a business. And also think about whether you're simply looking to have one or two properties just to add to your income, or perhaps, as some people call it, create some kind of a little pension pot for themselves just to create regular cash flow and then help you retire at some point in the future. But always make sure you think about your long-term goals and your objectives and align those with what you're doing in property, which is going to help you stay focused on why you do what you do. And now, another important thing is to think about, do you need a business partner or business partners, and do you want to do joint ventures with them or with other people, or do you want to work on your own because you don't like working with a team, or you just want to have freedom to do what you want when you would want to do it without having somebody else to answer to. Now, no matter what you do, the choices need to be very clear, because they need to work for what you're looking to achieve. And alongside what you're looking to achieve, think about capital appreciation, think about cash flow, think about your ability to borrow money, think about where you're going to get deals from, think about how you're going to add value. And you need to think about all of these things before you start your journey, because the more you think about these things, the clearer you'll be, the clearer you are, the more likely that you're going to achieve what you want to achieve. Now, is property right for you? Property is a medium to long-term commitment and strategy, generally speaking, unless, of course, you're buying, refurbing, or building and selling. Otherwise, when you're holding on to property, it is a medium-term strategy, in my opinion. And more experienced professionals do work with some quick cash flow deals, like they might flip properties, they might buy land, obtain planning and sell them. They might do a bit of deal sourcing to earn small sums of commission and cash as and when they need it. But again, that all depends on what your short-term, medium-term, long-term view is. It depends on how involved you want to be, and it's probably better to buy and hold if you're interested in a bit of rental income, possibly passive income, and you're looking for a bit of appreciation. If you're looking for more regular cash in bigger chunks, then by the time you build your portfolio or you're building your portfolio, it's going to take you time. So then you need to look at other supplementary or complementary sources of income, be it rent to rent or serviced accommodation or deal sourcing or doing joint ventures or even entering land promotion agreements. So there's quite a few different options for you to explore to see which one works best for you. And I can't make that choice for you, nobody else can. You need to make that choice because it's your business and you want to run it so that it works for you and your family. Now, very importantly, make sure that you develop the right mindset. And the reward of taking risks is obviously gain. And if debt makes you, let's say, squeamish or a little bit nervous, then you'll either need to come to terms with that or you'll need to buy property without debt, which is easier said than done, or maybe property isn't the right thing for you to do. So whether it's debt or whether it's something else, make sure you have the right mindset about going into property, and make sure you spend a lot of time on personal development and learning about things that are going to help you improve your journey and help you understand property better. But no matter what you do, every single deal will have an element of risk, so you need to be pretty okay with that, and you need to try and mitigate it the best that you can. But if you're focused and you're serious and you're committed and you're going to concentrate on making your goals happen, then you've got it all to play for. Now, mitigating risk obviously is extremely important, and depending on what you're looking to buy and what you're looking to do, you need to make sure you do the proper analysis and do your due diligence. That's extremely important. Make sure you understand fully the commitment that you're getting into. If there's building works required, make sure you get a good hold on the costs and how much time it's going to take. Whatever you do, do not buy property blind. Now, most people don't do this. Some do, and those who usually do it, unless they're experienced, tend to make mistakes. And my job here, to some extent, is to help you avoid those mistakes, because I can share with you best practice in terms of my own experience and the experience of many of the clients and contacts that I've acted for over the last 20 years. So being responsible and making sure you have a process to analyze your deals, assess your risk, look at the whole deal as a whole to make sure it stacks up is a responsibility you need to take very seriously, and you need to make sure that you create a system and you follow that, because that's going to avoid you making mistakes. Now, the sort of questions I'd be asking myself before I was to start a property business or buy a property is what are the similar properties selling for in that particular area? What kind of rent do they achieve? Is there good tenant demand in that particular area? What type of tenants are interested in those type of properties? Is it that property aligned with my overall strategy? Is there other amenities which are going to attract people to rent in that particular area? How quickly am I going to get my cash back? What's the return on capital? What's the capital appreciation? What's the annual yield on the investment? So all these things, including obviously, is the rent going to cover the mortgage, which you better do, because otherwise it's not worth you doing. And then I look at the repairs and maintenance, both in terms of how much work do I need to do to the property right now, and ongoing, how much work would be required. That's the basics that I look at when I'm looking to buy a buy-to-let. Now, I don't buy many buy-to-lets. I used to. I don't now. I'm mainly doing commercial conversions and new builds, which is even more involved, and I'll cover that on a separate video. But most people end up becoming property landlords because by chance, so they see themselves as an accidental landlord, and they don't really have a strategy until they kind of discover and find out they've got a number of properties and they like property, so they want to become serious about it, and that's when they look at a strategy. Now, in terms of looking to finance your property, you have quite a few different options available to you, but you need to first work out which strategy you want to use, because that's going to help you determine where the financing and the funding should come from. But make sure at every single time when you buy a property that you can afford it, that you know exactly what you're buying, and you're fully aware of your obligations and your rights and the risks and the responsibilities. But also take into account the stamp duty land tax that you're going to pay, the time it's going to take you to obtain a mortgage, the day-to-day running cost of the property, the additional cost when you buy the property to set it up and to get it going, and of course being aware of what the property is worth. So do not overpay for the property, because at the end of the day, even though it might be on a mortgage, you're still paying for it over a number of years. Take into account survey costs, valuations, solicitors' fees, arrangement fees, insurance. All of these things need to be accounted for, because if you only got, let's say, £20,000 to invest in property and you buy a property for £80,000, for example, and the £20,000 is a 25% deposit, then all the other costs that are involved, you need to find the cash for that. And if you haven't got the cash, then you need to maybe be putting down 15,000 as a deposit. So therefore, you need to buy a property which is cheaper than £80,000. So make sure you work backwards and work out your numbers to make sure that the property not only stacks up, but your finances also stack up. Now, I've previously covered funding options that are available to you, and if you click this video here, you can see I've gone into quite a bit of detail and all the different types of avenues you have in terms of raising finance. And I assure you, the ones that I've covered aren't all the ones. They were just some of the most common, popular ones that I've come across over the last 20 years. You're also ought to thinking about the type of property investor that you want to be. That's incredibly important, because when you're investing in property, you have a number of options open to you, and you need to assess those and see which one works best for you. Now, this could be a new career path, which one day will become your main source of income because you're looking to finish your job, or because you like property and you want to spend more time doing that. It could be an extra source of income to top up your existing day job or your current income. It could be for that you're planning for retirement, so you want to have a couple of properties and create some cash flow. It could be that you're interested in property as a business, and as an entrepreneur, you want to start getting into property and creating an income and also a legacy for your children and your loved ones. It could be that you don't want to be involved, but you've got the cash available, so you want to find somebody who's got the time and they can invest your funds and give you a return. So there are quite a few different avenues and aspects that you need to be thinking about, and only you can decide which one works best for you. Now, more and more people, generally speaking, are choosing to rent than buy property for a whole host of reasons, which I'm not going to cover for you right now. But as an investor, or as a budding investor, or somebody looking to become an investor, that's good for you, because that creates opportunity in terms of demand. Now, once you've got the basics sorted and you know the type of investor you want to be, it's time to get started. But that can be easier said than done, because before you get started, you need to fully understand exactly what you're looking to do. Now, a common question I get asked is, how do I find good property deals? What due diligence should you be doing? Well, good property deals come through having good contacts, both with agents and also with deal sources. And the more known you become, for doing deals, the better the deals that will come to you. So you need to decide on the type of deals that you want to do in order to attract those types of deals for yourself. Also think about, obviously, where you want to invest. So you need to think about your gold mine area. And again, I've got other videos where I've covered gold mine area for you. They're on this particular channel, and you should be able to find them. So in terms of your gold mine area, think about how far away it is from you. Think about the average value of the properties. Think about the demand. Is it a place which has a university, so you can attract students? Are you targeting families, nurses, doctors, the professionals? Are you targeting people who are on housing benefit, so you can work with the local authority? There are a whole host of other reasons that I've covered for you on a specific video that I made in terms of gold mine area. But those things, plus transport links, infrastructure, employment and skills in a particular area, those are the kind of things you want to be looking for when deciding on which area to target. I usually say go for a 20-mile radius, and I don't travel more than 60 minutes. So if it's outside a 60-minute drive, I'm not interested in it, because I don't want to be sitting in the car and driving 90 minutes, 2 hours up and down motorway or the back roads to get to a particular area. I'll spend up to an hour and that's it. It also gives good thought to who you want your tenants to be, and then obviously buy properties in the areas where those tenants are looking to buy or rent property, and also obviously have in mind what those tenants want. So a single person who works full-time will have different needs and requirements to a family of, say, 3 children and a husband and wife, and that's going to be very different to somebody who's a student. So you want to set up your property and have it in a particular area based on the type of tenant that you want. Now, if you invest in larger houses and you want to rent them out to a family, that works fine. You might want to be thinking about doing an HMO, a house of multiple occupation, or even serviced accommodation. And if the property lends itself and gives you 2 or 3 options, appraise all of those options and see which one works best for you, because it really is horses for courses. And remember that the area that you're in should play a huge role in deciding your target tenant, and it will do. So ask yourself who you would and wouldn't let to, because that's important. So who you do business with is as important as who you don't do business with. So you need to be very clear on that. And also be fully aware of the rental demands, the rental returns, so that you know exactly what your yield and your return is going to be. The higher the better, but that partly depends on obviously buying well, and it partly depends on the demand in a particular area. So some areas obviously do better than others for different reasons, and every area works, by the way. It all depends on your target tenant. As long as the property works for the type of tenants you're targeting, you'll be okay. And most importantly, of course, is don't just think about capital appreciation. You want to make sure that your property cash flows every single month. Cash flow is what you're looking for as a property investor, but capital appreciation is a bonus. Most people don't see that when they start off in property, or don't see it for a long while, but because you're starting off new, you're going to obviously, having watched this video now, you're going to pick up on that, and you're going to make sure that the cash flow is your main priority. Capital appreciation is a bonus. Also think about how you can add value to a property, because adding value means the value of the property goes up. It also means that there'll be more capital appreciation at some point down the road. It also means you can create more cash flow, because if you're able to extend sideways or backwards or upwards, that means you create more rooms. More rooms means you can create more cash flow. So adding value is important, and the better you become at property, the better you'll be at finding these opportunities. And of course, target high growth areas where there's a lot of inward investment. Again, you can speak to a local council to find out about that. See what large employers there are. If there are other large employers coming in, is there a new university being built? Is there something else like a major development to a shopping centre or retail parks or something else going on which is going to create demand? And that's going to help you, because the property prices are going to go up and there'll be more demand in terms of the rental market. The type of risks that you need to be aware of, or at least account for, is number one is a rental income. It's not guaranteed. There are agents who will give you guaranteed rent, but obviously they'll charge you a higher fee. So you need to make sure that you account for any potential voids, because everybody has voids from time to time, and they can also obviously lead to tenants not paying you at all, which unfortunately leads to eviction, and you want to avoid that at all costs and work with the tenant, because evictions are not good for anybody. Second thing is buying property at the right time, because if you buy high and then the property market crashes, that's a risk for you. Third one is making sure that the property doesn't need more work than you thought it needs at the start, so make sure you take a building surveyor with you to have a look at the property. The fourth one is you under account for the cost and find out that more work needs doing than you thought, and it's going to cost you a lot more. So again, be mindful of that. And like I said, once you're experienced, you'll pick up these things anyway. It's just in the first few, you need somebody experienced with you who can help and show you what to do. When you're starting off, I always say start small. So obviously the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, according to Lao Tzu, and that is true for anything in life. So start with your first property and learn the ropes and see how things work, and have a mentor or somebody who can help and guide and advise you, because they'll share their own experiences with you, but they'll also encourage and push you to do better, if better is something that you're looking for. And remember, there's no rush. So don't, if you want to do a deal badly enough, you'll end up doing a bad deal. So take your time, look around, and even if you're putting offers forward and they're not being accepted, that's okay. It's going to happen. Sometimes it just takes time. It could be your first offer and you get a deal. It could be your 50th offer and you get a deal. Usually it doesn't take 50, by the way. Anyway, I'd say within your first 10 offers, usually one should accept it, as long as, when I say one, I mean one seller, potential seller, will accept your offer, as long as you're being reasonable and sensible. If you're offering 25% below market value to all of them, it's probably not going to happen. But there are ways to find below market value properties, and that's a different video for a different day. Now, of course, you can go solo in property, but generally speaking, as you grow and expand, you are going to need a power team of specialists around you who have knowledge, experience, and expertise of things that you don't know. And just in case you're not aware of who you need in your power team, here's a list of some people that you ought to have. So you need a good property solicitor, you need a good accountant who understands tax and also specializes in property. You need a good mortgage broker who can obviously help you finance those deals, because obviously finance is a major part of property. You need to have contacts with deal sources and agents, so they can buy or they can put deals in front of you so that you can buy properties. You need to have a network of like-minded people so you can stay positive and you can learn from them and also share your own experiences. You need a good contractor or a builder who can go in and do the jobs for you on time, every single time. And you also need to make sure that you have good advisors around you, generally speaking, in terms of helping you to create a good business. Now, property is a lifelong journey, really, as is education. So you need to make sure you're regularly educating yourself and you're also building your property knowledge. Networking events are a fantastic way of doing this, as are property courses, reading books on how to invest in property, subscribing to magazines, journals, reading stuff online, watching YouTube videos, being in Facebook groups and other social media channels and avenues. All of these things are going to help you understand property better. The more time that you spend learning about property, the better the return and dividend you'll get over time. So I'd say, if you're new to property, spend at least 1 hour every single day for at least the next 2 years learning about property. And the more time that you spend on it, if you enjoy it more, what you'll find is, rather than an hour, you might end up spending a couple of hours every single day learning and understanding property. And any research is seldom wasted, if ever, because you're always picking up things, you're always learning things. And like I said, if you spend an hour a day for a couple of years, you'll know more than most people. And that obviously is about taking action, being involved, being engaged, and really committing to what you really want to do. Because if you want to be successful in property, let me tell you right now, it isn't easy. It's not going to all happen by chance. It's a difficult journey. There's peaks and troughs, highs and lows. There's difficulties, there's challenges. It's not all rosy, and anybody tells you it is rosy, unfortunately, I don't think it's at least being very economical with the truth. It's a hard journey, it's rewarding, it's enjoyable, it's life-changing. You'll make a huge difference to many people's lives, including the people who work with you, your family members, but also the wider community. And it's a journey that I wish I'd started 30 years ago, but I didn't. I started 20 years ago, and I was pretty young when I started, by the way, in my mid-20s. So no matter what your age, that doesn't matter whether you're 18 or 15 even, and living with your parents, or you're 65 or older, by the way. Any time is a good time to start in property, as long as you're keen and you're committed. And I wish you all the best on your property journey.